Hey bottom pushers, my name is Nick and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. And we have just reached the end of adolescence. So, just as a recap at the end, of what we've done during our adolescence, we met Thomas, who is our new bestest buddy in the whole wide world. We did meet a girl. She was an Archnean, which is one of the higher race of beings, who proceeded to have her bodyguard break my face, which was nice. I've done school, which was good. There was a wizard there that set fire to the teacher, so that was something. I helped Nathan retain his faith. Sorry. Our grandfather died. I did the blood tide, and now I'm leaving home to be a big boy in the big city. So I am honourable, I am bright, and I am soulful. I currently have 0 willpower, which is kind of good. It's okay, it's not good. And I haven't died yet, so all in all, a pretty successful childhood thus far. And we are moving into youth.
Leaving my hometown behind, I set out for the capital of the Empire. There, I would discover my role in society.
So this is going to be, I feel like this is going to be one of the most important chapters, because up until now I've kind of done what I could, but my grand plan is to somehow burn this society to the ground, because it's awful. So youth is where I can kind of get the ball rolling on that, I think. Leaving home. The driver flicks the reins. The carriage slowly sways as it starts moving away from your home. You stick your head out the window and wave goodbye to your family. Nathan is running after the carriage with Thomas's younger brother in tow, tears glistening in their eyes. It hurts to leave your home behind. Ahead lies Eterna, the imperial capital. You've often read about it and heard stories from Father and Stefan. It's a city that surpasses Anazot enormously in terms of size, age, wealth, and beauty. But what's it really like? What kind of life awaits you there? What will you learn there? And where will your actions take you? You pass the old walls of Anazot. Somewhere within them is the old fortress you and Thomas built together out of old wooden planks, now left to the care of your younger brothers. You two are adults now. Perhaps your fortress will crumble, now abandoned. Or perhaps your brothers will continue what you started. Who knows? You look down at your hands, knuckles covered in scars from street antics, fingers stained with ink. Mother gave you a cross to wear away from home, and now you can feel its warmth against your chest. Your family counts on you, even though they all wish a different future for you. But they're behind you now, in Anazot. From this point on, only you will decide which road you will take. This is the journey you prepared for throughout your entire childhood. Ahead of you lie many years in the capital, years that will determine your fate and your place in society. These are your personal qualities in adulthood, which you will use for the rest of your life. They are the sum of your qualities that you've gained in childhood and adolescence. Okay. Perception, nobility, and diplomacy. Okay. Manipulation. I'm naive. I'm a neophyte. Valor. I'm weak in battle. Inexperienced. Tongue-tied. So basically not great. Chapter outcomes. Life paths that you will choose from in this chapter. Path of the Lotless. You remain in the common estate with no choice but to fend for yourself and make your own way in the world. You enroll in the seminary, hoping to become a priest and assume the lot of the clergy. Like your father and grandfather, you enroll in Imperial College, hoping to become a judge and nobleman of the mantle. Your earthly life is over. You leave the world forever and face the judgment of the twins. Ooh, interesting. I didn't realise that true death could have come now. I mean, I'm going to have to be pretty unlucky to have died 4 times by the time I've reached the end of youth, considering I've not died once yet. So I'm thinking I'm going to need either the Path of the Priest or Path of the Nobleman. Or no, Path of the Commoner. Maybe I can do something as a commoner. I don't know. Oh god, there's so much. Alias's Rescue, Collapse of the Lotless. Okay, I'm not gonna look at all these. I'm just gonna skip ahead because what will be will be. Trust my gut, and everything will be okay. I sincerely hope. Arrival in the capital. It takes a whole month to reach Turner. You and Thomas spend the days wagging your chins and staring at the scenery as your carriage makes its way along the road and towards the next province. Soon it crosses from the familiar, barren, arid lands of Magra to the stately mountains of Illyria. During one of your many stays at the roadside inn, the two of you even manage to share a whole bottle of strong wine and keep it a secret from the servant who drives the carriage. Adult life feels positively intoxicating. Soon, I tell you, soon we'll be there, and I'll earn my sword as soon as I get accepted into the military academy. You'll see. And then nobody's going to walk over me like I'm some commoner. You keep rehearsing everything they taught you in school. Soon you're almost at the end of your long journey. You've left behind the arid rocks of Magra, the mountains of Illyria, and the flooded meadows of Arknia. Eterna, the capital, is right ahead. Situated at the junction between Reglata and Tellerina rivers, the city is vast. 3 majestic stone bridges keep its 3 shores interconnected. Smooth stone paves the main city streets. Gilded mouldings decorate the buildings. Towering pillars reach high into the sky. Your carriage takes you past a spacious park with marble fountains and intricately trimmed bushes. On the streets, you see ornately decorated carriages bearing Arknian coats of arms and abundant merchants' tents filling the streets with beckoning cries and unusual sights. The spires of ancient temples dot the city skyline. The carriage comes to a halt on a large city square with a towering marble fountain. The coachman says you've arrived. Thomas is to apply to the military academy. The academy barracks are 2 streets away. Your lodging house is in the alleyway nearby. A room has already been reserved for you. You get out onto the street and say brief goodbyes to each other. You promise to meet again after the entrance exams. Then your friend disappears into the crowded streets of the capital. You're left to your own devices in this vast city. A group of nobles walk past. They're dressed in well-fitting clothes, decorated with gems and golden thread. You're not even noticed. Street urchins chase a dog down the alleyway. Soldiers of the Imperial Legion are marching to fifes and drums towards the barracks. Humble pilgrims are gathering to the great Temple of the Twins. There are the sounds of music and fountains, and the smells of baked bread and garbage drains. Delightful. You quickly check in at the lodging house, then go back outside. The sun is setting. The streetlights come to life. Merry music fills the taverns. Couples and noble coaches with tinted windows fill the streets. Shadows and hushed voices and laughter fill the parks. You're all alone with this city, so vast and unfamiliar. You take a look around, determined to fill your first night in the capital with memories. You see young nobles gathered by the fountain, talking and making jokes excitedly. One of them keeps glancing at the clock tower. They're about your age. Their clothes are hand-tailored, and 2 of them bear noble swords. They seem to be waiting for something. It might be a good idea to make their acquaintance. It would be most helpful to develop a familiarity with the influential nobles of the capital. Loud music from a large establishment on the corner distracts you for a moment. The servants have just opened their shutters to air out the hall. It seems there will be a gathering inside. People from various estates greet each other as they take their seats. A servant by the door of the establishment hails you. Sir Gert Arkwright will be making a speech about the rights of the common estate. If you wish to listen, you'd better get inside quickly. Then you look at the great Temple of the Twins at the far end of the street. The pillar shines in the evening dusk above it. The temple gates are open, and worshippers are flocking inside. There are too many people for an ordinary service. This must be something important. What do they preach here in the capital? What do they say of the new faith and the teachings of Patriarch Photis? You snap out of your reverie when you hear loud laughter. A group of young men dressed in colours of the Imperial College have made the acquaintance of several lovely girls. They're making their way down the road, united by merriment. One of the girls smiles at you. It's an invitation to join them. They turn the corner and walk away. You can still hear their voices ringing and echoing through the streets. A night of revelry and jolly, loud fun doesn't sound half bad. This is your first night in Eterna. No matter what you choose, you will remember it for a long time to come. I'm thinking either Arkwright's speech on the rights of the commoners or the nightly service. These two, would be fun and would be probably good for my energy levels and stuff, but I have a mission. I must stick to it. I'm going to listen to Arkwright's speech. You enter the establishment and find a free seat next to a group of well-dressed young men and women. Soon the hall fills with people, packed wall to wall. A richly dressed elderly man with a tenacious gaze and a wrinkled forehead appears before the audience. My name is Gert Arkwright, and I'm an industrialist from Illyria. I should start off with a few short words about myself. Just like you, I was born in the common estate. My father was a hard-working miner. The mine broke his back, and he died of natural causes. My mother used to say that was his lot. You work, you endure, and you suffer. Well, now I'm the owner of 5 ore processing factories, and every day gets me thinking, how come a son of a run-of-the-mill miner and a wealthy industrialist have to live by the same lot? Tell me this now. Is it just and fair that a man who owns a factory has the same meagre rights as an ordinary farmer? If you own several stores and command the workers almost like a noble commands an army, you must really suffer like a low-born man? Even if you can afford good clothing, good food, and a good house like a noble. Even if you live and stand closer to the nobles than farmers and tinkers and manservants? His introduction sparks a debate. Most of the people in the hall side with Arkwright. They say that well-to-do people need not live by the commoner's lot. There are outcries defending the holy function of the lots. They are quickly snuffed without support. For the first time in your life, you see people daring to defy their lot in public. Emotions soon begin to run high. More and more people shout words of opposition to the current order of the Empire. They argue that industrialists, merchants, and other well-off people are no worse than the nobles, and ought to have their say and their own rights. Order, my good people, order! Now's not the time to rebel. If any of you are itching for weapons, you should leave our company and proceed to the gallows on your own. We are here to work out, through peaceful debate, a solution for this gross injustice, and then submit our solution to the Great Imperial Council. Okay, alternatively, we could just burn it down. The gathering ends in the small hours of the night. The majority come to an agreement. Their idea of the best solution is to introduce a new social class, a separate estate that would bear some of the nobles' rights and freedoms. Unfortunately, there are too few of us to even convince the Great Council to have our proposal seen, but we will not stop until we prove to the nobles and the Emperor that we are rabble no longer. You make your way back to the lodging room. You're absolutely shocked. There are so many people in the capital who openly defy the lots. How different they are from the listless, lethargic people of Anazot. You think of Gloria before you drift off to sleep. She would have been overjoyed to be present at a gathering like this. Okay, so I've gone up in manipulation, eloquence, lost some willpower, and that's unfortunate. You arrived in Eterna, the ancient capital of the blessed Arcanian Empire. Luke's servant. You've spent the last 3 days studying books, but today you decide to take a walk through the streets of Eterna. They're full of life as usual. You proceed to the square next to the lodging house. A procession of priests walks through the square. You notice that one of them holds a banner of the New Faith, an open book. This is the same banner that was behind Patriarch Photis on the day of his assassination. So the New Faith intrigues me, because the weird, potentially crazy lady outside the temple told us that the lots weren't actually defined by the twin gods. That was a man-made construct, which is what I assumed was the case anyway. But the New Faith is going against the lots, so I am intrigued about this. A crowd immediately gathers around them. Many people are looking at an icon painting on a small pedestal depicting a grey-haired man with glowing green eyes. You recognise that face, the face of the late patriarch Photus. A man with a thick beard appears by the icon painting. His broad shoulders bear a white and gold cloak, with the coat of arms of the capital province embroidered on it. He is Luke, Patriarch of Ark. He casts his stern gaze over the crowd. I speak to all who live within the sight of the Shining Pillar. Exactly 1 year ago we lost Photus, Patriarch of the Magra province, mentor of the new faith. Patriarch Photus was the first to see the books of Isatius, but nothing but the words of a man, not the words of the twins themselves. He was the first to tell people to seek the path to the gods in their own hearts instead of blindly following the lots. To seek answers in the lives of the twins and their own hearts, rather than the words of priests. Through Patriarch Photus, we were able to see the truth. Through his death, we saw that his words are not heresy. They are the truth that used to be obscured by Isatius' lies. And now, I bring good news. Patriarch Junius Diamant has seen to it that our teacher will be canonized as a saint. Yes, Junius Diamant, an Archnean from a great dynasty and the Patriarch of Astinia, has joined the new faith himself. And through this we hope that the entire empire will soon see that our doctrine is the truth. We are free from the shackles of the lots. We are equal before the twins. With each day, more and more people hearken to the truth, and one day, the entire empire will hear our call. So let us pray, my brothers. The believers around you bow their heads in prayer and thank the twins, not for the lot they were given, as they usually would, but for the chance to choose their own path. The Patriarch's sermon is inspiring. It compels your hands to meet in a sign of prayer. It compels your lips to repeat the words of the new faith. Patriarch Luke's sermon forms a cadence, and your heart beats in time with it. You recall the murder of Patriarch Photus a year ago. It seems more patriarchs share his doctrine now. The news of Junius Diamant forming the new faith is stunning. If an Archnean from a great dynasty has sided with Photus' doctrine and agreed to see everyone as equals under the twins, the new faith must truly be putting down roots. But suddenly, several figures appear by the podium. Figures clad in black, with glinting silver at their sides. Inquisitors. They push through the crowd and form a circle around Patriarch Luke. One of the priests rises up before the crowd. He is clean-shaven, tall, with chiseled features. Everyone falls silent at the sight of him. The Inquisitor speaks with a booming voice that can be heard by all. I am Father Ulrich. In the name of the twins and by my right as an Inquisitor, I order you to turn around and leave. The words you're hearing are full of lies. Patriarch Luke has set out to poison your hearts and your minds, and the Inquisition will not allow this heresy to spread. The only true path in life is the will of the twins. Life offers us no other choices. You are hereby ordered to disperse at once. Most people leave the square immediately. Few want to get involved with the Inquisition. Some people stay, however, and some even shout angrily, "We want to listen to Luke. He's the Patriarch of Archnia, and he has more to say. Get away from our sermon, old believers. We'll not listen to you and your hoary old lies about the lots." Inquisitors, bring those who may yet listen back to their lots, and leave the others to the champions of faith. The black-clad Inquisitors descend from the podium and approach the people who chose to stay. With nothing but their words, they make people stop shouting and start listening. The uproar ceases quickly. They have dissected the crowd, split it into smaller groups that surround each Inquisitor. One of these Inquisitors chooses to approach you. He's a humble-looking man of age with a rough haircut. He looks you straight in the eyes as his lively, soulful voice forces you to listen to his words, despite yourself. My name is Father Jeremiah. I know your thoughts were stirred by the Patriarch's words. You are not sure whom to trust, but I teach at the seminary. I've been studying the teachings of the twins my entire life. You can trust me. I know can hear what I have to say. I see their light in your eyes, the future, the light of the true faith. Will you listen to my counsel, my son? You feel no malice in the words of the Inquisitor Jeremiah, only hope. It is his lot to aid you, to guide you away from error and set you on the path of true faith. He is a priest, so he should know the truth. Or perhaps the Inquisitor himself is in the wrong. Listen to his counsel, debate him, resist him. I don't know enough to debate him at this stage, so I'm going to resist. You strike a pose of authority and eye Father Jeremiah sharply. Inquisitors cannot order people around, you say. It is not within the lot of the clergy. Only nobles can give you orders. The other commoners look at you in terror. You have just defied an Inquisitor. However, Father Jeremiah still looks at you, without any of the anger you'd expect. My son, your words do indeed contain a germ of truth. I am an Inquisitor of the clergy, and, by the will of the twins, I cannot give you orders. But know this, the Inquisition does not imprison everyone suspected of heresy. We exist to protect souls, to guide and to save them. We pursue dangerous doctrines and seek to rescue every soul we meet. Arrest or execution is our last resort, reserved only for sinners beyond redemption. You can see that I'm merely speaking to you right now. I have not resorted to force, nor am I giving you any orders. But if the need arises, I will summon the champions of faith, nobles who will be there to give orders and punish those who defy the church. But as long as you're not calling for the overthrow of faith, you are safe from. And, as you said, it is not within my lot to give you orders. You are free to go, but expect no mercy in the hereafter, for after we die, there will be none. With a bitter smile, the Inquisitor leaves you and proceeds further. You leave the square freely, your dignity preserved. The remaining people in the square continue arguing with the other Inquisitors. Armed champions of faith stand nearby, but they do not intervene. Luke and his retinue can no longer be seen. Only one thing keeps nagging at you. Father Jeremiah's words about how there will be no mercy in the hereafter. The advance of the new faith. Patriarch Luke's sermons have converted many commoners and nobles of the mantle to the new faith. There are now several temples in Eterna that follow the new canons, with Luke's blessing. This has led to no small amount of anger among the followers of the old faith. Two mighty bishops of the church lead the new faith. One of them is Luke, Patriarch of Arknia himself, spiritual mentor of the capital province. He preaches all across Arknia, his every sermon adding to the new faith's flock. The other leader of the new faith is Patriarch Junius Diamant. Hailing from a great Arknian dynasty, he is the de facto ruler of Astinia province. Adored by his subjects, he has founded the Holy Order anew. Junius Diamant rarely preaches, but people believe the Astinian Patriarch attends to the needs of all who convert to the new faith. This schism within the church is growing. The split has furthered the divide between the commoners and the nobles, though thankfully there has been no direct conflict as of yet, but it has become clear that there is no way to stop the steady advance of the new faith. Born from the death of Patriarch Photis, it grows stronger by the day. Ooh, I like this. I like where this is going. The city that never sleeps. The next few weeks pass by in hard work and preparation for the coming entrance exam at the Imperial College. You grow more and more exhausted with each passing day, so much so that one night you fell asleep while studying another book. When you finally come to, you decide it's high time to get some recreation outside. The city of Eterna amazes you as you stroll through its splendid streets. It's another night, a different night, yet the city is beautiful still. The shining pillar is a slice of light against the dark night sky. The lamps on the facades of the building are lit. Night descends on the capital. You don't feel like going back to your books tonight. Recently you made the acquaintance of several young men. They're children of nobles of the mantle just like you, sent to the capital to earn their noble titles at the college. You decide to seek them out. Your new friends are having a late dinner on the next street over, loudly discussing their plans for the night. Some speak eagerly of a dueling club where you can see the most skilled and ardent duelers in the Empire doing what they do best. You've never seen professional duelers fight. It must be far more exciting than Father's fencing lessons or that fight in the ruins of Amazons. And if luck favours you, perhaps you can even make useful contacts among the noble families in the capital. The others try to convince the rest to take a trip to a certain secret salon. The establishment is expecting a guest tonight, they say, a young lady who speaks about the true state of affairs in the Empire. There are many questions about the nature of the place and identity of the mysterious speaker, but the young men have only one answer. They are forbidden to speak about this outside the club. However, they can take you there as long as you aren't afraid to learn dangerous truths. There are others still, drinking their fill of wine rather than eating. Fencing, they say. Speeches? Nonsense. The place you ought to go tonight, they claim, is the Markian Society, a gathering for those of common estate but uncommon opinion that offers pleasures for everyone. Pleasures of the palate, pleasures of drink, pleasures of the flesh. Is this not heresy and a crime? Perhaps, and yet some of your newfound friends are eager to go there. In the end, your group splits into 3 to spend the night as they see fit. What will it be? A contest featuring the best fencers in Eterna? An establishment both mysterious and dangerous? Or an encounter with people who defy their lots with audacity? You weigh your options. I mean, secret salon. As soon as they mentioned it, my decision was made. 100%. The Secret Salon is an unremarkable wooden building down an alleyway a few blocks from the Great Temple of the Twins. A couple of tough, taciturn fellas at the door eye you suspiciously. Their faces are obscured by hoods. One of your newfound friends nods to them, and you're allowed inside. The inner rooms are stuffy and overcrowded. All the partitions have been removed to make room for more people. There's a raised platform next to one of the walls. Perhaps a stage? There are benches all around. They are occupied by people of the common estate, most of them modestly dressed. There are artisans, tinkers, street vendors, students, yet you see that some of them are wealthy and impeccably dressed. A mop-headed young man dressed like a low-ranking clerk appears on the stage. He claps to attract the public's attention, then the house goes quiet. He reads a series of pamphlets condemning the supreme authorities of the Empire and their obsolete rule. A group of young men appear on the stage next, their faces covered in blue paint. They perform a derisive play entitled A Day in the Life of Tempests. The performances are many, but their goal is always the same. They all claim the Empire is stuck in the past and has to change. Then, finally, after another voice of accusation, a young girl appears on the stage, and the crowd immediately grows silent. This is her, the mysterious guest they were talking about. You look at her from the crowd, you see short black hair, a slender figure, and those familiar, shining eyes. Sophia! Brothers and sisters, you all come to this place because deep in your hearts you know. It's Sophia, the girl who used to live next door. She's grown so much since you last saw her. But what's she doing here? Oh, she hates me as well. Because I let her die and then I couldn't save her from the people that were chasing her. Oh, I want her to not hate me anymore. But before Sophia even finishes her sentence, a short man in a shabby jacket jumps up on the stage. He flashes a badge and screams at the crowd, "Nobody move! You're all under arrest as accomplices to an insurrection against the Empire!" Uh-oh. Imperial gendarmes barge into the house. Swords and crossbows glint in the dim light. First, there's confusion, then panic. Screams of fear and outrage fill the hall. Sophia is already gone. You can barely hear the cries demanding that you stay where you are. People start pushing against the gendarmes, against the doors, against the windows. The din is deafening. Only one thought remains in your mind. You have to run. Run away, as fast as you can. You push your way to the furthest window in the hall. A hand grabs you by the sleeve of your jacket. You pry it off without looking and keep pushing forward. The expensive jacket starts to tear at the shoulder. The window frame breaks and falls outside. You drop down after it. Shards of glass bite into your hands, but you barely feel the pain. You'll have time to feel it later, but for now, you have to run. You run and dodge and weave through the alleyways before finally heading to the lodging house. Your heart is racing, your hands are shaking, blood is dripping from the cuts on your arms. You have no idea what happened to the people who were arrested. Finally, you reach your room and collapse onto the bed. You're safe from pursuit, but not from anxiety. What was Sophia going to say? How did she end up here in the capital after she escaped? Was she arrested too? There's too many questions, but you have no way to answer them. Eventually, you drift off into a restless sleep. Oh, damn! Oh, it looks like youth is going to be not that long at all. I say not that long. It's relative, isn't it? This is quite a lengthy game. The Code of Laws. You're on your way to the largest library in Eterna to study for your entrance exams. It's right next to the college. The streets are full of people. Everybody's excited. You hesitate for a few seconds, then let your curiosity get the better of you and head towards the place where you'll soon study. Before long, you hear the shouting. The Great Chancellor is about to give a speech about the future of the Empire. You cannot possibly miss this. You mix with the crowd and soon find a convenient place to listen and watch what is about to unfold. On the steps of the college, you see a small tribune guarded by 2 Archneans armed with swords. This is the first time you've ever seen an Archnean standing guard, let alone 2 of them. The doors of the college open to reveal a stately Archnean surrounded by an honour guard. It is he, Cornelius Tempest, Great Chancellor of the Empire, younger brother to the Emperor himself. He heads for the tribune and casts a look over the square. It's full of people in awe and utter silence. Long ago, humans witnessed the Archneans' arrival. The 2 nations built the Empire side by side. The provinces joined us one by one, and Magra was the final province to attain the absolute might and majesty of the blessed Archnean Empire. Yet there was another great event long before that. 4 centuries ago, the twins had graced us with their presence. With their arrival, the twins granted us their will. They showed us their love and their law, and they granted us knowledge of what awaits us in the hereafter. They chose the dynasty of Tempest to rule the Empire, and from that day forth, our dynasty has ruled this land, ordained by the gods themselves. However, it is our duty to the twins not to seek power for power's sake, but rather to lead the Empire to further prosperity. And so the Great Imperial Council is soon to review and adopt a new set of laws called the Creed. Under the Creed, all estates will be granted rights. Under the Creed, there will be one law for all Imperial citizens to obey, human or Archnean, the lowest commoner to the Emperor himself. The strife among the estates will end. A single law will resolve all of our quarrels. Glory to the Empire. Wow, okay. The Great Chancellor throws his arms into the air. The crowd murmurs and applauds in approval. Cornelius Tempest casts another look over the crowd and leaves. The crowd disperses. The sounds of agitated discussions are everywhere. Is it true that the Emperor's dynasty seeks to grant equal rights to all estates? What's going to happen to the Empire then? Ooh, that's interesting. It seems like everything's kind of falling apart in ways I want it to. The girl from your past. It's early morning. You've been awake since sunrise, studying. There's a knock at the door. Is it a letter from home? Or a hotel servant? You open the door and freeze, stunned. Hello, Brante. Before you stands Sophia, the girl who used to live next door. She's all grown up now. She looks so different, but you would always recognise those blue eyes no matter what. You gesture for her to come in. Sophia enters the room, glances around, and sits in an armchair. You eye the girl you used to know as you sit across from her, but the young woman you see now has little in common with the girl you used to know. There is cold steel in the way she looks at things. Her hair is cut short. But what is she doing here? I can explain. I've been living in Eterna for a long time now, ever since I ran from Anazot. I heard the other day that you'd left for the capital to get into the college, so I found you, and here I am. You ask how Sophia learned about your arrival and where you're staying, but she answers your questions with an enigmatic smile. We'll get to that later. Right now I want to see how much you've changed since we last saw each other. As for me, I've changed a lot. I'm a whole different person now. Me too, don't hate me anymore. You look away as you recall your previous encounter, back when Sophia ran from her Archnean master. Sophia chuckles as she continues. Would you like to know what happened next? I travelled through the entire Empire all alone. I had nothing. My journey ended only when I reached this place, the capital, with all its important people and events. This is the heart of the Empire. It's a place where I can make a difference. I've made friends here, found people I can truly call my family. I've even gotten an education of sorts, and I have a purpose now. I fight against injustice. I fight against the lots. I fight those who treat our lives like mud on the pavement. And no, I'm not afraid to tell you that. I came here for good reason. I need help. I know you. I have faith in your good heart. Besides, this is also about the Imperial College you want to enroll in. There is a scholar there by the name of Bartholomew Dexter. He teaches natural sciences at the college. Dexter is an old man, but he's quite progressive. He'll stop at nothing to advance science and acquire new knowledge. As you know, only second-generation nobles or above are allowed to teach at the college, but Dexter, he's a commoner. He forged his patent of nobility to get a position at the college, but the secret chancellery recently learned of this. Dexter is about to face true death for this forgery. But how is that justice? A man wants to teach people, and for this they're going to take all his lives? They're going to punish him for the crime of being born in the wrong estate? It's evil and obscene, and I will not stand for it. Dexter deserves to be rescued. But I don't want to put anyone in danger, so I need your help. You're from a rich family. You're almost a noble. If you help me get Dexter out of the city, nobody will suspect anything. No one will know, and the scholar will live on to continue his research elsewhere, far away from the secret chancellery. Will you help? You feel perplexed by Sophia's sudden request. She's asking you to break Imperial law and undermine the work of the secret chancellery to save this scholar. Rescuing Dexter would be an adventure, but it would also be incredibly dangerous. And besides, Dexter is a fake noble. He resorted to lies and deceit to get his current position. How much does this matter to you? Sophia's blue eyes are studying, waiting for your reply. I mean, yeah, because screw the system, it's a ridiculous system, so yeah, I am obviously going to agree to help. Assuage your guilt, which obviously I can't do at the moment anyway. You turn Sophia over to Ot. Oh my god. Oh, you turn Sophia over to Otton. If you help her now, it will make up for what you did. Okay, I see. But yeah, I'm going to help her. Obviously. You promise to help Sophia. Bartholomew Dexter does not deserve this. He has to leave the capital. She can count on you. I knew I could count on you. Then we must act at once. There's no time to waste. Dexter is to be arrested tomorrow. Here's his address. Go there as soon as the sun sets. No one will suspect you. Dexter often shoots young men for the college entrance exams. Tell him the owl sent you. Use the back door to get out. A carriage will drive up to the backyard. The driver will hoot like an owl. He'll take you to the south gate. If the guards stop the carriage, just talk your way out of it. Once you're outside the city, Dexter will ride away in a different carriage. You'll go back the way you came, and I'll meet you in Majesty Square. You nod to her words, and your hand starts to shake. You're about to go against the secret chancellery. You're going to help someone escape punishment. To defy your own lot like this, it's unthinkable. When the sun sets, you leave the lodging house and walk quickly, glancing over your shoulders repeatedly. Bartholomew Dexter's house must be somewhere around here. You find the place. A genteel old man opens the door. His face is covered in wrinkles, his shoulders are stooped, and yet his eyes are sharp and lively. Bartholomew Dexter looks at you for a moment, then asks why you've paid him a visit. You tell him you want to enroll in the college and are looking for a tutor. Dexter nods and invites you inside. Once you make sure nobody else can see or hear you, you whisper to the scholar about the real reason for your visit. The secret chancellery will be coming for him tomorrow, and he has to leave now to escape true death. Dexter freezes, then turns to you. How do you know about him and the secret chancellery? You tell him that the owl sent you, and has provided for his escape. As for the secret chancellery, they want him for forging a patent of nobility. The moment you utter Sophia's name, the lecturer calms down and starts packing for the journey. You watch him distractedly and notice that he lives in a rather austere fashion. It doesn't take him long to pack. You hear the quiet clacking of hooves in the yard. Carefully, you and Dexter proceed to the backyard of the building. You see a carriage there. The driver hoots quietly. You get in. The carriage rolls down the road. There's a tense silence in the closed-off space inside the carriage. The scholar wrings his hands anxiously. Through the carriage windows, you see the massive city gates passing by. You're almost outside the city, but then a loud voice reaches you. Halt! The driver obediently halts the carriage. 2 city gendarmes approach you. Oh no! Oh no! You leave the carriage to face the gendarmes before they get a peek inside the carriage. They look you over and ask where you're going so late at night. You tell them you're the son of a judge in Magra, here to enroll in the college, and right now you wish to visit the estate of a newfound friend. To convince them further, you mention the name of a noble son you've become friendly with. The gendarmes release the carriage and wish you a pleasant trip. Okay, I was expecting that to be something I had to choose, and it could have backfired, so good. Good. You drive along the high road until you encounter a peasant wagon. Dexter will take it to seek refuge far away from the capital. Before the 2 of you part ways, he pats you on the shoulder and tells you that you have done a truly brave deed. You return to the city without incident. You find Sophia in Majesty Square as agreed, sitting on a bench by a streetlight, reading a book of some sort. She closes the book when she sees you and offers you her hand. So, did everything go according to plan? You nod. Then we've earned ourselves a bit of free time. Let's go. You set off on a walk through the maze of narrow back streets. Finally, you have some time for questions. What happened to Sophia over the last 2 years? She was just a girl before, a servant. How is she now a revolutionary? Sophia just smiles sadly. You've seen what I can do. I'm not just a girl. The Inquisition caught up with me when I ran away from Anazot. I ended up in the House of Humility, a dreadful place. I got collared. Do you know how it feels to lose your free will? Losing everything that makes you, you? She unclasps the tall shirt collar that had been hiding her neck all this time, and you see the round marks from the anti-magic collar. They say a scar like this will remain even after a lesser death, but I got lucky. Patriarch Junius Diamant saved me. Diamant took me and the other mages from the House of Humility and removed our collars. He made me one of his attendants. He taught me that there are no lots. He told me that I'm like this, not because I'm a freak, because it's my nature. He told me I can find a path to the twins like anyone else in the world. And then, I was taken. I got out on my own. I found my lot, to protect the common people from the noble yoke, to help others who are as unlucky as I am, to fight for a different world, a world where everyone has equal rights, a world where mages don't get robbed of their will just because of one aspect of their birth, a world where nobles no longer tread upon the commoners. Yes, this is our dream, but we're still so far from it. But I will keep moving towards it, and I'll stop at nothing. A strange, distorted expression appears on Sophia's face. She quickly returns to normal. You keep walking until you're at the lodging house again. For a moment, you just stand there, looking at each other. Then suddenly, Sophia embraces you. For a moment, she remains still in your arms and whispers, "You should join my cause. If we work together, one day we'll become a force to be reckoned with. I know you came here to find your way, but I'll never believe you really want to bind yourself to other people's laws and desires for the rest of your life. The path I walk is dangerous. It's almost hopeless, but it's worth living for. Think about it. Goodbye." I don't need to think about it, I'm in. I'm down, this is some freaky shit and I'm down for it. Then she withdraws just as quickly and disappears in the dark streets of Eterna. You make your way back to your room, exhausted by the events of the day. Was this really just a single day in your life? It's been a busy day, granted. And the silver lining to all of this is that Sophia is now indifferent towards me, so yay me. And I'm now inexperienced and weak in battle. I was that anyway, but I'm now +1 on both those things.
I will never forget that day. for it was then that I chose the path I would walk for the rest of my life.
The 3 lots. There are only a few days left until the Imperial College entrance exam. History, law, theology. You spend all day reading and rereading the books you brought with you, staying at the Library of Eterna for hours, sometimes until it closes. As the day of your exam approaches, your hands start shaking more and more, and finally, the day comes. A clear sky hangs over Eterna today. The breeze is warm. You dress in your best outfit, a grey jacket and velvet culottes trousers. You comb your hair carefully and polish your boots until they shine. You leave the lodging house and head for the Imperial College. Your legs grow heavier with each step. Your anxiety at the fact your fate will be decided today is virtually tearing you apart. The college is a majestic building that looks not unlike a castle. In the square in front of it, you can already see several dozen people. Young men, sons of nobles of the mantle like you, waiting for the college's doors to open. Time slows to a crawl. At last, the doors open. A stately man dressed in a professor's mantle appears at the entrance. He is the dean of the college. The students-to-be fall silent as the dean gets ready to deliver his welcoming speech. But the silence is interrupted by heavy footsteps and clanking armour. A squadron of warriors emerge near the college, led by Archnean officers. Their banner bears an image of golden grains. The noble militia of the Monia province. What are they doing here? The nobles of Monia form a circle around the college, each warrior moving quietly and precisely until a chain is formed. One of the Archneans is clad in an old-fashioned suit of armour. He's the leader of the militia. He locks the bar on the massive doors of the college in place, then proceeds to the stairs to address the crowd loudly. Commoners, before you stands Egerius of the Monrogue dynasty, Archduke of Monia. By my will, the college is hereby closed, and today's entrance exam is cancelled. Your lowly origins make you unfit for the great honour of rendering service to the Empire, a right that ought to be available only to the hereditary nobles of the sword. The college's reputation has been tarnished. It breeds mock nobles who bear not a trace of noble blood. You belong in the lowly estate, but have forgotten your place. Cornelius Tempest and other traitors to the Empire are indulging you and defacing the institution of the nobility for their lowly interests. A noble lot for those of lowly birth? How can this be? I will not stand for this disintegration of the Imperial College. Now turn away from the college this instant and return to the humble trades of your ancestors. Plough your fields, mend your boots, and work and suffer by your lot. If any of you dares to step foot upon these stairs, you will be killed at once. The students-to-be meet this speech with a stunned silence. The crowd in the square is growing, however. The news of the Monian noble militia and the college's closing spreads through the streets like wildfire. More humans join the crowd. College students, commoners, officials who worked hard to be ennobled. Unrest grows all around you. You hear people calling to rush Archduke Monrogue's forces, to take control of the college and defend your right to become noble. The Emperor himself gave us this right. We have to fight for it. This is a decisive moment for all of you. The old gentry has challenged you. Will you accept this challenge? In the face of this shameful, illegal act by the Archduke's forces, you may prove that all of you deserve the noble lot. You will need to break through the cordon, get inside the college, and take control of it. The nobles will never dare hurt you if your presence is strong. If you're ready to risk it and fight for your rights in the nobility, you will have to lead the charge. People keep coming to the square in the meantime, including students and teachers from the Divine Seminary. The lot of the clergy is to guide others to the right path. When the estates clash, the priests are bound to intervene. The seminary teachers instruct their students to form a line between the noble militia and the outraged crowd. The priests begin telling the warrior nobles and the riotous commoners to return to the preordained divine order, lest they provoke the wrath of the gods. The wrath of the gods. As the priests utter these words, the crowd around you disappears. A vision appears before your eyes. The Empire is ablaze. You see burning lands, steeped with pain and despair everywhere. You look, rivers overflowing to extinguish the burning world. You can tell that soil scorched by such fire will never bear fruit again. The gods' given vision demands to be heard, demands to be prophesied to the world, but only a priest may speak to the twins and for the twins. Will you keep it inside, or will you step onto the path the twins have revealed to you? Somebody shoves you in the back, and you snap out of your vision. You turn around to see a small but decisive troop of commoners moving quickly through the crowd. They're led by Sophia. As soon as she sees you, she signals them to stop. So you're here too? Going to Roster College, are you? Can't you see it already? The laws cannot be trusted. They gave you the right to study here just to throw you a bone. When the going gets tough, your masters will take it away. It's time for you to decide. We are the Lotless. We are not putting up with this system any longer. We will fight for a new world. Are you coming with us, or are you going to submit to them? There are students and professors locked inside the college. Who knows how long Monroe will maintain this siege? And what if they start slaughtering people? Neither groups of nobles will care what happens to them. We're going to go inside and pull them out. Come with us if you're ready to take control of your own destiny. The tension in the square is palpable, and the situation is about to implode. Students, commoners, nobles of the mantle, followers of the new faith, all of them are gathering their forces to move on the wall of soldiers. They expect the nobles to let them through en masse. Surely they won't start a massacre. The Lotless, led by Sophia, prepare to break through the siege to rescue the people in the college, and all the while, the priests preach peace in both sides of the conflict. The college is your only way into the nobility. Only you can fight for your new lot and fulfill your duty to your family. You could organise an offensive strong enough to get into the college, and thus seize your lawful rights like a true nobleman. Yet, the revelation about the wrath of the gods still pulses in your mind. Once revealed, the vision will take you on a different path, standing with the priests and preaching what you have just seen, warning all of the dire danger on the path of warring estates, bringing the twins' word to the people and guiding them to salvation. Could this be your new lot? Sophia and the Lotless, they expect you to join their struggle. They're waiting for you to cast off the old ways and the eternal yoke of subservience. If you choose this path, you will not change your lot, and your suffering will continue. But your suffering might just change this world. This is the moment. Your future life will be decided here and now. Well, okay, you're not giving me much choice here, are you? I mean, thankfully, following the Lotless is what I wanted to do anyway, but still. You have decided. The storm of doubt in your mind clears at last. You're done serving the will of others. You will defy your lot, and you do not need another. You're free already, and for this freedom, you're ready to sacrifice anything. You walk to the Lotless as Sophia smiles at you softly. Her companions pat you on the shoulder, and then you get to work. The Lotless withdraw from the mob in the square and prepare for the raid. They're strong people of lowly birth, and their clothes are covered in dirt and soot. They hang on Sophia's every word. So, the plan is simple. I'll go to the warriors by the side gate and distract them. You know me, I have my ways. The rest of you must get inside the college and lead the people outside. When you're done, wait for my signal. Sparks of yellow flash in Sophia's eyes. She walks with confidence to the nobles guarding the side gate. They meet her with drawn swords, and then a flash of yellow light fills their eyes. The warriors freeze in place. Sophia walks away, and they follow her obediently. The path is clear. You hear one of the Lotless gasp in awe. That's our owl, all right. Only she can do that. It's time. You open the gate and get inside the college, leaving the cries of the mob behind you. Nobody stops you. Once this is done, you scatter to search the halls for students and professors. They're not too eager to trust the trespassing commoners, but with Arcanian swords hanging over their heads, they trust you anyway. Your student garb helps you convince them. You take everyone you can find out of the college through the same unguarded gate. The Lotless take a roll call in an alleyway behind the college. You rescued almost 24 men. Sophia is the last to reach you. It's time to leave. The maze of hidden alleyways takes you safely to a patch of abandoned land. Sophia clambers up onto the half-crumbled wall of an old house. She lights her pipe and gestures confidently for everyone to come closer. Welcome all. We are the Lotless. We are the people who will never stand for the injustice of the imperial system. We live as we see fit. We have no masters, only our own free will. Join our ranks, and you will be forever free from the whims of the Archnians and the gentry. Walk away, and they will be free to do with you as they see fit. I believe today was a fair show of their intentions. The freed students exchange glances. If they join you, their hopes of being ennobled by the mantle will be cut short. But they already saw how precarious their position is. Many of them are enraged by the fact that the Archnians can take their rights whenever they please. We won't force you to stay. You're free to leave and go back to college when it opens, if it opens. But if you don't want to dance to their tune anymore, the Lotless welcomes you. Many students join the ranks of the Lotless that day. You are among them. You're greeted by the motto of the Lotless. Our cause is just. Your new life has begun. Your life as a member of an outlaw brotherhood. There's no going back. You'll be neither nobleman nor priest. Your father will never forgive you for letting the family down. But for the first time in your life, you feel truly free. You have defied your lot. Now, your fate is yours. What will happen next? Okay. This is fine. I'm okay with this. I'm quite happy with the trajectory this is going. Unless it turns out that the Lotless are actually just as evil as the Empire, in which case, whoops. Bonds of friendship. You return to the lodging house one last time to gather your belongings for the move to your new home. A young man dressed in uniform of the military academy greets you by the door. It takes you a moment to recognise Thomas. Your friend locks you in an embrace. Brante, hey, how are ya? I heard about the nasty stuff that went down in the college square. Those damn gentry would do anything to keep lowborn folk under their thumb. Glad the situation resolved itself. As for me, I'm an academy cadet now. He's beaming with pride. You invite him in and chat while you pack. Thomas continues to relay the news as you walk up the stairs. I made it to the top 10. Can you imagine? Did pretty well in sparring and the sciences. It was all thanks to the help you gave me back in school in Anazot. I'll be studying the art of war now, and then it's quick march to a noble title. How about you? You tell Thomas about what happened over the past few days, and of the path you've chosen. He remains quiet as you speak. Both of you realise that you may never see each other again. You know, Brante, here's what I think. You may have your own path in life, but you're my friends. We've got to make sure our friendship lasts forever, no matter what happens to us. Here, I bought 2 brass rings. If the old tradition is to be believed, both the rings and their wearers will always remain close to each other, no matter where fate takes them. What'd you say? The 2 of you grew up side by side. Thomas, the audacious, hot-blooded, sharp-tongued boy who used to live next door. Can't imagine your childhood without him. But would it be right to promise him that your friendship will last forever, no matter what happens? 2 rings made of plain brass lie in his open palm. If you wear these rings, you will be bound by the ties of friendship for the rest of your life. But I can't swear an oath of friendship, because I can't. I just can't. Cool, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to take the ring. Keep things as they are. End the friendship. Jesus. Yeah, I'll take it. Besties forever. I am worried that one day we are going to meet each other again on the battlefield. That's how I see this going. You take one of the rings from his outstretched palm. The 2 of you have walked side by side ever since you were children. Even though your paths in life may diverge, nothing will ever tarnish your bond. You're ready to preserve your friendship in brass forever. You put the brass ring on your pinky. A perfect fit. Thomas does the same. He starts beaming again. Now we're friends forever. For all eternity. We've got to celebrate this. Come, on our place. I've got to show you. Tastiest mead I've ever tried, Brante. My treat. The two of you go to a noble salon by the square of Emperor Severin. Surrounded by tobacco smoke and mead bottles, you wag your tongues, recall the days of your adolescence, and make plans for the future. Nobody knows what could be waiting for you, but you promise you will never lose sight of each other. Yeah. Good buddy. Ba. Why would you end the friendship? A letter from home. You write a letter home and tell them you failed to get into college. There is no other way. Father would have learned everything one way or another. It isn't an easy letter to write. He did send you to the capital specifically to attend the college after all. You write about Archduke Monroe's assault and the students' doubtful future now that their right to be ennobled by the mantle may be revoked. You tell them that you plan to get a job in the capital and earn a living. They should accept your choice. The reply from your family arrives very quickly. We sent you to the capital with a sole purpose, but you failed. Indeed, nobody expected an attack on the college, but you could have upheld your right to study there had you been more firm. Cornelius Tempest will ensure the college opens again, yet you have already rejected the nobleman's lot. And to what end? I can only accept your choice now, but you will no longer receive any support from the family. It is up to you to earn your keep. I can only hope that you will not disappear in the capital. This entire siege incident is nothing but a poor excuse. You failed to uphold your right to enter the college, and that's the end of it. It cost Father so much time and money to send you to the capital, and you rejected it all. And for what? To remain a commoner until the end of your days? I hoped you would one day become my equal, but now the very thought of it is just absurd. There's another letter. It's from Gloria. It seems neither Father or Stefan knew she sent it. Sir Robert smashed a vase when he read your letter. Stefan screamed at the top of his lungs about lowborn and foul bloods. Fortunately, I led Mother and Nathan away before we all got in trouble. But I'm proud of you. You defied Father's will. You went against all expectations, against this entire rotten system. You made this decision. Now follow it to the end. I believe this path will lead you somewhere worthy. Take good care of yourself, my brother. Oh, he still loves me, really? Daddy's a big softie, really? No, that's fine. Hey. The Lotless. You cast one final glance over the room where you lived for so long. Here's the table where you sat studying all those books. Here's the bed on which you dreamed your dreams of the future. Your things are packed. You walk down the stairs. The landlord's servile smile is gone now. The unspent remainder of the funds allocated for your accommodations drop onto the counter from his reluctant hand, and then he turns away. You have no lot now. You're free. Free even from the knowledge of your tomorrow. You've cast away your destiny. But for what? This remains to be seen. The Brante family will support you no longer, but you have to find a play to stay in the capital so you can aid the Lotless, and so you seek Sophia. I'm afraid I can't offer you a noble estate, but we found a basement in an abandoned house and made it into our home. It's on the bank of Reglata, by the river port. It's livable, there's only one room for everyone, so bring your own bed. But it's warm and clean, and we have food and a place to keep our things. You'll be safe. After all those carriage rides, going through the city streets on foot isn't half bad. The bayside wind still gets under your skin, but it also cools you down on hot days. Not that you need it. You were born in Anazot, in the very southernmost part of the Empire, and the hot season in the capital is nothing compared to the real heat in Magra. You recall all the hot days in the garden, sitting with Father and talking about the lots, about your future in the capital. He used to look at you with such pride. He was so confident you would follow his footsteps. A chilling gust of wind snapped you out of it. Enough nostalgia. It's time to face the future you've chosen for yourself. The house where the Lotless live is close to the port. The basement entrance is hard to find, but you eventually find it. Inside is one large room with bedding and belongings strewn about all over the floor. You find some free space in one of the corners, so you place your bedding and your things nearby, and you take a good look around. There's only a handful of people in the building. You introduce yourselves to them. They show you the utilities, a small kitchen and a room with a stove and several buckets of water. If you need more water, the river's right nearby. You ask them how long they've lived there. About 8 months, one of the Lotless tells you. They took over this basement back when they had only 10 members. Most of them were more or less homeless, disowned by their families, expelled from the college, academy, or seminary. Sophia found a place where they could live together. Everyone sleeps in the basement and meets in the abandoned house above. Sophia certainly is thoughtful, you intone. That she is, your fellow Lotless says, nodding. She takes good care of us, but she's also really secretive and demands that we follow her orders to the letter. Even after all those months, nobody knows where she lives. She only shows herself when she deems it necessary. Soon you come to know the Lotless better, and you see that they truly believe in what they're doing. At present, they're trying to expand their ranks and convince the common folk that the present order in the Empire can and must be fought. You can do this. You have to believe you can do this, and you have to do whatever Sophia says. Some of the students you rescued are also here. With their arrival, the ranks of the Lotless practically double. The events at the college turn them against the current system. They're eager to act, and so are you. Sophia meets with every newcomer in private. It takes a few days before she finally speaks to you two. Sophia is sitting at a desk behind a pile of papers. She looks worn out, but still smiles at you. There's a reason I wanted to talk to you last. Our ranks are growing, but not everyone is as smart and learned and cunning as you are. I need results, and I expect to get them from you. We have to tell the common folk the truth about what happened at the college. Doesn't matter how we do it, the Lotless will never forget, and we will never forgive the nobles for what they did. We have to tell people we exist, and we have to recruit new members. I know you can think of a way to do both. I expect a report in 1 week, at our next meeting. Good luck. Sophia stops talking and looks at you. You nod. There's something else you want to tell her, but you have no plan just yet, and it seems she has no time for small talk. You leave the meeting room. What will you do now? How can you tell people about the Lotless without everyone getting arrested? The best place to do this would be somewhere on the outskirts of the city, in the markets and taverns where commoners tend to gather. You spend the rest of the day strolling through the city streets. After a night of pondering, you have 3 ideas. Your first idea is the safest. Print a lot of leaflets and spread them all across the town. Tiny papers are easy to hand out, and all it takes is a few printed words that hit home. And a printing press. Can you even find a print shop that will support your cause? Plan number 2. Talk about the Lotless to anyone willing to lend an ear. This is a more reliable option. After all, people tend to believe other people more than words on a paper. It's more dangerous too. It's easier to arrest an orator than an author, and your numbers are too few as it is. And then, there's plan number 3. The city is still abuzz after what happened at the college. Somewhere out on those frantic streets are people willing to heed your call. Instead of wasting time and effort telling everyone about the Lotless, perhaps you should focus on recruiting. Well, I can't do any of these. Good God. Fine, recruit new members. This is becoming less and less of a choose-your-own-adventure. After the incident at the college, people started asking questions and looking for answers. You see how many young people on the streets are quietly sharing rumours, discussing the news and trying to figure out what to do. They already know the truth. They have to be recruited right now. You won't get another chance like this. Over the next few days, you visit a number of taverns and public houses frequented by young people. 2 ex-students accompany you. While your comrades are loudly discussing the college incident in order to provoke a reaction, you stay away, listen carefully, and watch to see who reacts. Anyone ready to support your position, anyone eager to speak and angry enough to act, is your target. Once you have a target, you sign for your comrades to stop, and together you find a way to get the target alone for a talk. You tell your potential recruits about the Lotless and invite them to a meeting next week. Almost all of them say they'll be happy to come. The plan's going well. You enjoy spending time around the loud, festive people energized by freedom, camaraderie and unity, brought together by a common and just cause. The first day yields a dozen potential members. 2 more days yield another 15. The day of the next meeting comes, and there are not enough seats to fit everyone who arrived to join the Lotless. People are leaning on walls, arguing, laughing, and listening attentively to Sophia's speech. So particularly inspired today. She addresses you at the end. Today, I have nothing but words of gratitude for my old friend. You used to walk a different path, but you have seen that our cause is just. You joined us only recently, but you have done so much for us already, and I'm confident that we have a bright future together. My thanks to you, Brante.
Yeah.
The Trial of the 50. You've lived another year in the capital. Eterna has been shaken by what is now known as the Trial of the 50. 50 people stand trial at once, all prominent members of several political circles. They are accused of treason and conspiracy against the crown. The accused spoke in favour of reducing the power of nobles and granting more rights to the common estate. There was no mention of rebellion, yet those words alone were enough to indict them. Every session of the trial is open to the public. It is a show of power made to discourage people from forming such circles ever again. You attend one of these sessions. The 50 face their verdict: forced labour in the mines of Magra and Illyria for regular members, and true death for their leaders, 6 men and 1 woman. Their public execution takes place in the central square of Eterna. You remember the woman. Her name was Annie Syrian. She made a speech before her execution. A young woman, not too tall, her face almost plain, with long bangs over her eyes. She looks calm, even at this moment. You cannot believe she is about to leave this world forever. Annie Syrian takes a look around before she speaks. Her voice is quiet, but you're close enough to hear every single word. She says she's happy to give her life fighting for the rights of the people. Her cause will never die, Annie claims. Others like her will continue their work in hiding, but their cause is right and just. She's dragged away to the others. They put a sack over her head and tighten a noose around her neck. A hand yanks on the lever, and the 7 dangle in the air. Their feet tremble at first, then grow still. There are gasps and cries of discontent in the crowd. Ooh, damn. Before the march. The ranks of the Lotless are growing steadily now. It's getting harder and harder to breathe in your makeshift meeting hall. People are coming from all across Eterna. Most of them are commoners, labourers, craftsmen, eager students, and all of them feel that the social order based on the lots is out of date. They're always discussing this, both at the major meetings and one-on-one. How can you change society without taking up arms? How can you defend those who suffer at the nobles' hands? You write several articles for a newspaper that is sympathetic to your cause. You cover the pages of the Imperial Sunrise with freedom-loving ideas. But before your words reach the printed page, you let Sophia read them. I like your articles, they really sting. They burn with genuine fervour and true audacity. And, most importantly, you've been calling for action more and more. Our cause is just, and I know it well. But your words light a fire in men's hearts. They bring hope for a change. I'd never be able to do this without you, Brante. Thank you. It's time for another meeting of the Lotless. Sophia calms the crowd before she begins. My friends, it's time for us to act. We are strong, we are united, we are many. Our cause is just. Her words are met with cries of support, and your voice joins them. Sophia smiles, but there is still a hard, controlled edge in her eyes. 1 month from now, the Empire will hold the ritual of purification in St. Ignatius Square. Mages and witches who refused to repent and wear collars will be murdered in a public execution. The church is preparing carefully for this. But these witches never asked for this. They were branded at birth. Our lot is to suffer, but theirs is something far worse. The Inquisitor's collar takes away everything. Family, your estate, your free, your will. A mage becomes a weapon for the Inquisition. They are stripped of their lot and placed in this world. Mages are the true Lotless. A witch's collar is the worst prison of all. We must set them free. Their freedom will mark the beginning of freedom for the entire Empire. Feels like we're about to start a war, but sure. The cries of approval die down, replaced by a growing mumble of confusion. Nobody in the room wants to openly defy the Inquisition. Sophia raises a hand, her eyes glinting in the reflected golden candlelight. The room falls silent. We are not going to wage war against the Inquisition. What we're going to do is hold a march to support the mages. This will be our statement. We will seek the support of Patriarch Junius Diamant. He says that those who wield magic have the same rights as anyone else in the Empire. He seeks to give mages the freedom to find their own way to the twins. We are going to show the Patriarch that we have heard his words and are ready to openly heed his call. I am a mage myself. He took off my collar and allowed me to choose my own path. I am going to give every mage and witch the same chance. Nobody ever chooses to be born with magic, but mages have the right to choose to abandon their powers and follow the twins. Our cause is just. Sophia lets the others speak their mind. Some fully support the march, others hesitate, unsure of what to do. There's also a small group of people who reject the idea outright. Magic is evil, they say. Witches are dangerous. Supporting witches means defying the twins. Sophia leans over them. Angry sparks dance in her eyes. I am a witch, and yet you followed me. You chose to trust me. There's no time left for doubt. If you are not ready to walk this road, it would be best for you to leave the Lotless right away. Several people leave the hall. Some of them ashamed, others grim. They all get a parting message from Sophia. Her cry rings through the basement and out onto the streets. You will tell them nothing. Everyone else grows quiet. This is the first time anyone has seen the leader of the Lotless shout like that. Sophia drops back into her chair and asks everyone except for you and 3 others to leave. You know these 3 Lotless. Sophia uses them for special assignments. You get ready to hear what she has to say. The goal of our march is to get Junius Diamant's attention. We need his patronage. It's essential that he hear about us and support our movement. Without his aid and influence, our fight is doomed. With that, Sophia starts giving orders. She sends a young man to get collars, tells a lively girl to gather people and prepare banners, and instructs a lean Legion soldier to plan out the shortest route and the best location to begin the march. Then, Sophia dismisses them. It is only the 2 of you now. The basement room you use as a meeting hall grows empty and quiet, and you finally notice how tiny and exhausted Sophia looks. Dark rings encircle her eyes, and her skin is grey as parchment. She worked so hard for your sake. After a moment of quiet, Sophia speaks to you about the Imperial Legion. I don't want to scare the others too soon, but I think you know what I'm going to say. If they have trained as legionnaires guarding the square instead of prefecture gendarmes, the soldiers won't stand on ceremony. Some people might die during this march. You spend half the night planning escape routes in case you have to run for your lives. By the time the plan is finally ready, both of you are on the verge of nodding off. There's one more thing Sophia wants to discuss, however. Many people have joined the Lotless over the past few weeks, but we still don't have enough members. We need to attract other people on the streets in order to make our march stronger. People need to see that we aren't just misfits. Sophia has 2 ideas for attracting more people to the march, but you only have enough time to implement one of them. You could call upon the commoners who support the doctrine of Patriarch Fotis to join the march. Plenty of people in Eterna had to suffer at the hands of the Inquisition back when the new faith first emerged. Those who rejected the lots were treated like heretics and punished accordingly. Alternatively, you could seek support from the clergy and the nobles. Even among them, many have relatives and friends who have suffered at the hands of the Inquisition. Sophia looks up from her papers. The circles around her eyes are even darker now. She's barely reacting to the world around her. She is but a shadow of the confident young leader of the Lotless you saw speak at the meeting. She lights her pipe and throws herself back in her chair, her eyes half-lidded, looking utterly exhausted. It seems this decision is yours. So mobilise the commoners. You agree to mobilise the lowborn estates. You decide to mobilise nobles and priests who have suffered at the hands of the Inquisition. You put work aside in order to help Sophia regain her strength. Now, that's a tough one, because if we do this, if I literally can only do one of these things, that's obviously the best thing to do, because we need a leader. That's mobilise the commoners is kind of the whole deal that we stand for, but mobilise the nobles and the clergy is maybe going to get us extra clout, or it could backfire and not work at all. All of these could backfire in horrific ways. I'm thinking mobilising the commoners, because we should be able to get numbers, and this is it's very on brand for the Lotless. You spend more time writing a list of people who have not joined the Lotless, but are determined and reliable enough to support the march. Sophia rejects some of the names outright. I don't trust that Moreno. He's friendly with many of the Lotless, but I've never seen him support our cause in the debates. Viz's out too. He was in the square during the college siege, but turned away as if he didn't know us. You compose the invitations for the march, carefully crafting each individual letter. Some families have lost people. Some have seen people collared and taken to the House of Humility. Some people have seen friends executed for heresy. Some people have been punished for slandering the church and the twins. Each name, each family, each story makes you more horrified by the Inquisition's acts. You realise the extent of Sophia's truth. Our cause is indeed just. You finish only in the small hours of the night. Sophia has barely enough strength left to smile as you say goodnight. Go get some sleep, Brante. There won't be much time for that in the weeks to come. You watch her disappear down the dark streets of Eterna, amazed at how strong she is. A few years ago, she was just an ordinary girl next door, getting trampled to death by horses. Feast of the Heir. The capital is preparing for a great celebration. The coming of age of Gerion Tempest, heir to the throne. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wind. The streets are scrubbed clean, and the scent of flowers fill the air. You too set some time aside to join the celebration. It's not often that you can see the ruling family of the Empire firsthand. The celebration day comes, and Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy march in front, lined up in the columns, and other citizens follow suit. You join the parade around the tail of the procession. Before long, it reaches the square in front of the Emperor's palace. The ruling dynasty of the Tempests observe the parade from the palace balcony. They're joined by the Empire's highest dignitaries and province overseers. For the first time in your life, you see Emperor Uther II with your own eyes, there, high up above. The columns of college students and academy cadets come to a halt at the balcony and salute the Emperor with their mottos. The Emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. Then his voice echoes across the square. You can hear him easily, even from so far away. I accept your gratitude, my loyal servants. Take pride as you will your knowledge and valour in service to the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle, by my grace. The nobles-to-be cheer the Emperor's words, but then Archduke Monroe steps onto the balcony, and their jubilation gives way to murmurs of discontent. Everyone here remembers all too well how the ruler of Monia tried to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Arknian gentry. He is a force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor. Hail your Emperor, common folk! Be forever obedient and grateful for the good graces you do not deserve by birth. By then, everyone grows silent. A young, slender Arknian with a shy smile comes forth. There are whispers in the crowd. This is Prince Gerion, heir to the throne, student of Cornelius, promise and the hope of the common estates. To the left of Gerion is his younger brother Flavius. He's baffled at the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he's seeing. May the twins be kind to you, my future subjects. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in your loyal service to the Empire. Exalted by these words, the nobles to be roar as one. All hail Prince Gerion! Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He's an Arknian, elegantly dressed, and his mantle bears the Tempest colours. He raises his arms, about to make a speech. Long live Prince Geryon, students of the college, cadets of the academy. Time and time again you've proven yourselves to the Empire by word and deed. Today is a day of great celebration, and in honour of Prince Geryon, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right of distinguished common folk to be enabled by the mantle. So ask now. The cadets and students freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. On the balcony high above, Prince Geryon also remains still, listening to every reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monroe briefly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Imperial subjects, what the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessing. You may leave now. Commotion and murmurs spread over the crowd as some of the nobles to be refused to follow Archduke Monroe's orders. There are shouts heard here and there. The law! We ask for the law! The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume the parade. The tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly. An Imperial Guard cavalry regiment emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing on the crowd, hands on their swords, pushing people out the square. The commoners are now running left and right. You two have to move away. This quickly quells the commotion in the square, and the cavalry withdraws. Emperor Uther II appears on the balcony again. Archduke Monroe stands by his side. The square falls silent at the sight of the sovereign. My subjects, I can see how overjoyed you are for Prince Geryon, but your show of reverence and gratitude was clear enough. Now obey my will, continue the parade, and sing the praises of the Tempest dynasty that has given you so much. The square obediently lines up in columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and they resume the festive parade through the city streets. Glory to Emperor Uther, glory to Prince Geryon. Jesus. Letters from home. There are days when you receive letters from home. Father's writing is very reserved. He mostly discusses events and work in Magra and writes very little about the family. It makes me proud that I have managed to teach Stefan how to handle our affairs at home. Your older brother behaves impeccably at the society balls and receptions that we host. He has already made several crucial acquaintances. But Gloria has a different opinion of Stefan. She thinks your older brother is taking more and more after grandfather. Stefan is a lot like grandfather. It's in his manners, his posture, his voice. He even dresses like him. He used to be aloof around me, and we barely talked in the past. But now he always blames me and tears me apart. I can't take it anymore. He walks all over me all the time, and treats me like a housemaid. Mother writes to you. From her letters, you learn that Nathan just barely managed to graduate from school. It makes me sad to admit that Nathan has none of the talents you have. The other day he told me he won't even try to study in the capital. He says he won't be able to pass the exams. I find solace only in the nights Nathan and I spend together reading the scriptures and our walks to the church by the silver tree. He accompanies me every time. Your sister and younger brother write about Mother too. They say the same thing about her health. She now spends more time locked away in her chambers to brood. Gloria does her best to accompany Mother when she leaves home, and Nathan's letters mention her steps echoing in the halls in the middle of the night. There is one more thing Nathan mentions in his letters. Stefan and Gloria have been fighting very often these days. Stefan always tries to get under Gloria's skin, and she answers him in kind. Then Stefan calls her a lowly commoner and makes her shut up. You always tremble in excitement each time you see a new letter with a seal of your home province. Your fate is still bound tightly to your families, no matter the distance between you. I don't care about him. What? Why? Nathan, no! Nathan and Gloria, why? The march has arrived. March of the Collars. This is the morning you've all been preparing for. One of the houses in downtown Eterna is packed with a crowd of people. Everyone puts collars on their necks. There aren't enough for everyone, so the rest of them cover their necks with scarves and belts and anything else that looks dark against the skin. There are so many faces, even faces you've never seen before. People of all estates have come here today. You flow out onto the street. People keep coming to join the crowd, even as you start walking. There are shouts in the crowd now. Our cause is just! These words fill you with confidence, help you remain composed. Everyone is smiling. Well, for now. That will end when the blood starts flowing, I imagine. You march in the front row. The feeling is indescribable. Change is coming. The square is already covered with stacks of firewood for the pyres. You see people in collars tied to wooden stakes, with inquisitors busy around them. The fiery execution is almost ready to begin. Your path is blocked. Imperial Legion soldiers stand guard on all streets leading to the square. The crowd keeps pushing. There are cries on the streets now. Mages and witches are children of the gods. Give the witches back their lives. Down with the shackles of the lots. The cries of the Lotless fill St. Ignatius Square. A legionnaire yells over the mob and orders you to stand aside before they draw their swords. And then you hear a scream right next to you. We've got them outnumbered. We're going through them. Her voice rings in your head and fills you with fury and faith in victory, and you run straight at a legionnaire's sharp sword. But suddenly, a hand catches you and pulls you back. You see Sophia now, her eyes burning with a golden light. The ecstatic, furious mob flows around her and towards the unnerved legionnaire. Sophia's face looks inhuman now, her grin predatory. The legionnaires swing his sword at the maddened mob, but he's quickly knocked off his feet. His fellow soldiers guarding the square lock down their shields together and draw their swords. There is a look of bewilderment in the Inquisitor's eyes. It seems none of them expected such frenzy. Sophia leads the attack. Set the sufferers free! Junius Diamant is on our side. The twins are our shields! Any idea of a peaceful march is now thrown to the wind. Sophia is about to send the Lotless against the lines of legionnaires. Only seconds, moments are left until they strike. You have to be there in the front lines. Or will you try to stop her and avoid further bloodshed? There's still time. Or will you execute the plan yourself and free the captives from the funeral pyres on your own? Well, again, I can't. I guess we're beginning the assault then. Lesser death, here we come. You repeat Sophia's furious cry. Our cause is just. Set these Lotless free. Protect the people. This is how we pay for freedom. Our freedom and their freedom. Other voices start repeating your call, and it becomes a chant, the beating of a living drum. Our cause is just. Our cause is just. Our cause is just. The mob tramples the legionnaires. You keep pushing relentlessly, even as people start dying at their swords. The shield-bearing ranks break and scatter. The Inquisition is gone, but the sky is already filling with smoke as the pyres begin to burn. The screams of mages burning alive fill the square. People are trying to snuff out one of the fires with their own clothes, but it's too late. A woman with golden hair chokes on the smoke before you can save her. You see several people freeing another mage from a burning stake. Horrible burns cover his legs. The square starts smelling of hot fat and seared meat. The mob is loud, but thunderous hooves and clanging steel is louder. You hear the Legion cavalry advancing to the square. You scream to Sophia, but she can barely hear what you're saying. But when she does, she nods and orders a retreat. There's chaos in the square now, and pushing and pulling, and the sounds of clanging metal. You run away and through the maze of streets. You don't even bother to look behind you to see if anyone's in pursuit. You run for as long as you can, until your foot catches a loose brick on the road and you almost smash your teeth in. Only then do you stop. It's quiet. You don't recognise this part of Eterna. There's not a soul around you. It's hard to believe that this city can contain both this tranquility and the blood-stained chaos of a few minutes ago. You find a flop house of a nearby street and rent a dirty cubbyhole of a room, no questions asked. You pay for a few days' stay at once. It's a good thing you kept your money on you today. Then you walk upstairs to the room and collapse onto the bed. A wave of shakedowns and arrests washes over the capital over the next few days. You wait it out in the room. There's no news about the Lotless. It's as though none of it ever happens. You go to St. Ignatius' Square only 3 weeks later. The cobblestones are covered in soot, and you see spots of dried blood. In the bushes nearby, you find several broken collars. Our cause is just. Oh. Sorry, Alias, I couldn't save you. I'm still weak in battle. I need to be up to 10 to get to the next threshold in that. The march in defence of the witches ended in chaos and carnage in the streets of Eterna. Shit. Whew. The Overseer of Magra. 2 major events take place while you're busy living your life. Firstly, Cornelius Tempest is no longer the great Chancellor of the Empire. He has been ousted and sent back to his province. His replacement is the Archduke of Monia, Aegarius Monrogue, the same Monrogue who sought to shut down the college. The most powerful lord in the realm finally convinced the Emperor that his brother Cornelius was giving too much freedom to the lowborn. That's not good. Now, the policies of the Empire will be reversed. Many fear that the new Great Chancellor will destroy the Imperial Code of Laws and other achievements of Cornelius. There are cautious rumours among the people. They say the new Great Chancellor is going to revoke the right of the common lot to be ennobled by the mantle. Secondly, Magra, your homeland, now has a new overseer, Gaius Tempest, the older brother of Emperor Uther II. Usually the overseer of a province is its archduke. After all, it makes sense for the province's most powerful noble to impart the emperor's will to the locals. Yet now, this age-old tradition has been broken. And, to no one's surprise, Archduke Tarquinius Melanidas is absolutely furious. Gaius Tempest used to be the main supporter of his brother, former Great Chancellor Cornelius Tempest. The nobles at the Emperor's court say this is a stratagem by the Archnean gentry, who want Gaius removed from court affairs along with Cornelius. Either way, Gaius Tempest and Tarquinius Melanidas will now be at each other's throats over the province. This does not bode well for their future. Only one thing is clear. Magra, your home province, is about to face great changes. Ooh, damn. It's all go. This has just been very full on. The trap springs. Weeks pass, then months, and not a word from the Lotless. You have to resort to odd jobs to survive. How much longer will you have to wait? Your hopes of seeing the Lotless return wane more and more with each passing day. You still recall the loss of bloodshed of St. Ignatius Square with pain. What happened to the others? How many of you managed to get away? And, more importantly, what happened to Sophia? More days pass. You hear nothing. You keep returning to the same familiar city streets, glancing at the walls and windows, waiting anxiously for a sign or a familiar face. Then one day, you finally see a sign, a yellow towel hanging outside the window. Maya's window. That means tonight. You return to the basement. Only a few people are there. You look into their faces. There are fewer of you now. Some of the Lotless could not bring themselves to come, and others died back in the square. Sophia sits at the opposite end of the room, like an actor on a stage, her pipe in her hand. A golden ray of sunset has just reached through the basement window to glint in her hair. People are sitting at the benches or leaning against the wall. You sit where you normally do, in the front row, almost in the middle. There are voices and there are questions. Why did our meeting stop? Where has Sophia been all this time? What do we do now? Sophia stands up and looks straight at you, a golden light glowing in her eyes. I want to ask you all for one last favour. Please, for your own sake, don't do anything foolish. The golden light in Sophia's eyes comes alive and flies through the hall. enveloping the others in a vicious warmth. Your eyelids grow heavy, your mind becomes tangled and slow to react. You can barely stand, and your legs feel like they're made of rubber. The people in the front rows slump to the floor. There are cries of surprise and confusion from the back rows. Then you hear heavy, stomping steps. Armed knights clad in black armour enter the basement. The Lotless at the door draw their weapons and are killed instantly. A voice full of steel rings through the room. "In the name of Emperor Uther II, you're all under arrest." Well, shit. Your heart is racing, but the rays of sunlight will not release you from its stupor. You can't do anything but watch as your united brotherhood perishes. This feels like a nightmare. Some run for the tiny windows, others get down on their knees and surrender immediately. Others stand or sit still, unsure of what to do. Your former unity is shattered. People you used to call friends and allies now kneel in submission, and those who do not kneel are quickly cut down. There are screams and flashes of steel, and then a merciless cry. "Surrender or face execution!" Sophia is no longer glowing. Her eyelids are red. She tries to maintain her composure. You can see her lower lip trembling. Your eyes meet, and she looks away. "Sophia, but how? Why?" Everything ends as quickly as it began. Most of you are arrested, many are killed. Everyone bound by Sophia's spell is quickly bound at the wrists and placed against the wall. You know most of you would rather die fighting, and you would if you were not bound and gagged by magic. They took your choice away from you. Either they got to Sophia and they're making her do this, which she seems a bit too strong-willed for that. The alternative is she's cut a deal with them, which is a dick move, if that is the case. A real dick move. These people are well armed, well trained, but you see no signs of their armour. They're not the Legion, not the Prefecture, or the Inquisition. Your worst fear has come true. They're soldiers from the secret Chancellery. Your body is bound by magic so strong you can't even twitch. You're trapped along with the rest of the Lotless. There's no escape. Your eyes close, and you have to muster all your willpower to drive slumber away. Do you have enough willpower to break Sophia's spell, even for a moment? And even if you do, will it even help if you resist? Oh, I can actually do stuff. Good. Good. So resist Sophia. Sophia has betrayed you all. You urge your brothers to resist her. Break your distraction. You break free and distract the secret Chancellery soldiers in order to give some of the Lotless a chance to escape. I don't know what to do. Because what good is it going to do me to resist? You urge your brothers to resist. Step. Let's go for it. Let's resist. Out of options, you muster all your will in an attempt to break free from the binding spell. Your voice cuts through the screams and chaos of the basement room. You scream and scream for your fellow Lotless to fight until the end. Sophia is a traitor. One day you will get her, and then she will pay. Your call inspires some of the Lotless to break free from the spell for a few precious moments. They knock down one of the black-clad mercenaries. Another man lunges at Sophia with his bare hands, ready to choke her to death. But one of the men in black armour immediately jumps to protect her and greets unarmed man with his sword. The same bloody fate awaits the others who try to fight. Sorry, guys. One of the mercenaries slowly walks towards you and kicks you in the gut. You collapse, gasping for air, bound by the spell again. Sophia leans over you, shaking her head slowly and mournfully. What have you done, you fool? I told you not to do anything foolish. This will only get you hurt. I mean, you did say that, granted, but also, you've kind of dicked us all. Every single one of us. Sophia walks away, and the knights in black surround you. They tie you up, tightening the knots around your wrists so hard your fingers turn white, then kick you in the gut again for good measure. You're dragged out roughly and thrown into a windowless wagon along with the other Lotless. Soon, the wagon shifts, then starts moving. You're being taken somewhere. Well, back down to 0 willpower. But my valor and eloquence has gone up, so, you know. The secret society of the Lotless was struck down by the secret chancellery. Many of the conspirators were captured. Yeesh. Oh shit, I've just remembered it said I could have true death in this one. That's a problem. That's a real problem. Days are followed by nights. Nights are followed by new days. You can only tell because of the lights coming in through the tiny window near the ceiling. You spent several months in this cramped cell. It's 5 steps long, 2 steps wide. These walls felt oppressive during your first weeks, but people can get used to anything eventually. They feed you twice a day, they don't answer your questions, they take away the food if you scream too loudly. You think of your family often. How would they react if they heard you were facing execution for being part of an underground movement? Mother would die from grief. Execution always brings true death. Father's hair would turn white, Gloria would cry, Stefan would rage, and Nathan would become even more isolated. Sophia. How could she do such a thing? She said the Lotless were her family. She insisted so much on freeing the innocent mages. She urged you to support Patriarch Junius and the new faith. Sophia said all that, and then she stood there and watched her fellow Lotless get killed and arrested, their lives lost, years of work undone and destroyed. Driven mad with rage, you punch the stone wall. Blood spatters from your knuckle. It grows dark again. The lock on your door squeaks and the cell opens. They carry you out by the arms, but you no longer resist. You're sick of this. It's no use anymore. They seat you in the interrogation room. There's a man standing across you. Plain but well-tailored suit. Pale face with chiseled features, thick black mustache, black eyes watching your every move from their deep sockets. When did the secret chancellery first start watching? When did you all become pawns in their game? The nobleman keeps studying you with utter disdain. Even grandfather never looked at you with such scorn. He wears a pendant in the shape of a wheel. His gloved hands rest atop the table with a walking stick leaning against it. Beside him stands Sophia, her head down. I am Baron Philippe Elfero, advisor to the secret chancellery, but I have a dislike for titles. Call me Sir Philippe, that will suffice. I know everything about you, young Brante. Your father and grandfather are loyal servants of the Empire. Your brother is a noble by birth. Where did your life take such a turn? How did you stoop so low? The advisor to the secret chancellery shakes his head, presenting you with a clearly false smile of sympathy. You feel like a student in front of a strict teacher, but you will not leave this room with a mere flogging. You, young people, don't even realize what you're doing, openly defying the church and its teachings, openly speaking out against the law. And when Junius Diamant gives you the order, you wreak havoc in the capital, assault priests, and 3 apostate witches sentenced to execution. Isn't that right, Sophia? Yes, Sir Philippe, it all happened exactly as you said. You shiver with disbelief. There was no order from Junius Diamant. That's not true. It never happened. You look at Sophia, but she'll not look at you. Her eyes are only on Baron Elfero, and he looks at you with a fatherly smile and a ruthless gaze. You're trapped. Now his words will be the truth, and nobody will ever believe anything you say. If only I could be like you, young Brante, a mere boy who thinks he can change the Empire all on his own. But I suppose it's a good thing I'm not that naive, otherwise I'd be in your shoes right now, and you'd be dealing with someone far worse than me. There are many things in this world that do not sit well with me either, but unlike your youthful rebellion, my goals are quite clear. My wish is to save the Empire, to save it from the likes of you. People who reject tradition and the laws given to us by the gods. Fools who seek to set the mages free. Practitioners of the new faith that is destroying the church from within. Even if their leader is a patriarch and an Archnean from an ancient dynasty. Few know my methods, that is why they are effective. Thanks to Sophia and this secret society of hers, we have already managed to gather all the dangerous insurgents together, and summarily deal with them in one fell swoop. The heretic Junius Diamant is next in line. But that is none of your concern. Let us speak of your fate now. Philippe produces a folder full of notes and puts it on the table in front of you. The folder bears your name. Your hands shake as you flip through the pages. How you infiltrated the college during the siege, how you helped recruit more people for the Lotless, the articles you wrote for that newspaper, the advice you gave Sophia, your preparation for the March of the Collars. Your life over the past 3 years is laid bare in these pages. Just the records of your presence at the Lotless meetings is enough to sentence you to execution. That is the least of what you've done over these years. Your stomach churns. Do not expect your father's authority as a judge to save you from this, Brante. He is just a second-generation judge. A brief note from me, and you will face true death, and then your father, and the rest of your peculiar little family as well. What say you? Is there any reason I shouldn't do just that? No, please don't. Sir Philippe, He strikes Sophia swiftly and painfully. She doubles over and clutches her stomach, gasping for breath. Slowly, Philippe returns the walking stick to its previous position. His gaze never leaves you. I don't remember giving you permission to speak. But very well, I grant it now. Speak. Sophia finally catches her breath and leans against the wall. She looks at you for the first time since the interrogation begins. Sir Philippe, Brante grew up in Anazot. Just like me, he's very bright and has proven himself to be quite capable since his very first days with the Lotless. You will find my description of him in my report. He will serve your cause in Magra well. You do not look at Sophia. Her betrayal is the reason you ended up here. But now she's putting herself at risk to save your life. Philippe stares you down, his chin resting on his fist. Proved himself, you say? And how about he prove himself to me as well? There are only 2 ways out of this room, Brante. One leads to the gallows, and the other makes you my loyal servant. Thank your childhood friend for this mercy. I will give you 1 chance, and one only, to prove that you are useful to the secret chancellery. I'm listening. Well... shit. So I can betray the remaining Lotless. You seek salvation in service to your new master and name all the Lotless who have managed to remain safe so far. Reject the secret chancellery. You choose true death for yourself and dishonour for the Brante family. No, it's not just dishonour for the Brante family. He's going to have my entire family killed. Okay. I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm going to hate myself for this. I'm going to betray the remaining Lotless, which I hate. I hate that those words have left my mouth. I feel dirty. But I'm going to do it in the hopes that maybe Sophia isn't actually a bad person. She was just kind of put in an impossible situation. And we can maybe do something and get out of this together. I hate it. I hate it. I feel horrible. I feel dirty. You have no strength left to fight. Betrayal is the only choice you have left. If you want to live, you have to prove your loyalty. Excellent, Brante. I see you've had enough time to accept your new position. And besides, those people mean nothing to you now. I have high hopes for you. You start talking first names, last names, code names. You mention Arthur Murray, who supported you with money after he was freed, the Sachs family who welcomed you into their home, and a handful of other names. Sophia is silent and emotionless as you speak, but her lips are pressed tightly. I hate that I've done this. I have to keep in mind that he was threatening to kill my entire family. And just, if no one else, I'm just sad for Nathan. Nathan doesn't deserve to be killed because of me. You have a fine memory, Brante. You just might make a good spy after all. And you've already learned your lesson. Serve the man who takes care of you. I have no use for the Lotless now. Soon we will find them all and deal with the rest of those ragamuffins. Colour me impressed. But if you disappoint me, so much the worse for you. Now mark my words. From this moment on, you are my secret servant. This is your only lot in life now, as it were. You will obey me and no one else, and do not even think of mentioning the secret chancellery to anyone. You and Sophia will return to Anazot. Tell everyone you've earned a small fortune in the capital or made wealthy friends. You're a slippery young man, just think of something believable, will you? Once you're there, open a print shop. Don't waste too much time on it. This job will be your cover to keep you looking busy in public. My people will pay you visits from time to time and bring you instructions from me. I have big plans for your desert province. Every instruction must be carried out immediately. If you ever fail or try to fool me, your family will suffer along with you. Here, this should be enough for the print shop. Now you have something to bring back home. With a chuckle, Philippe drops a hefty pouch at your feet. It falls like a rock and makes a sound that only gold can make. Before you can say anything, he turns around and leaves. Once you're left alone with Sophia, she finally lets her emotions rise to the surface. How could you do such a thing? How could you betray those who were still free, after everything I've done to keep them safe? Do you think it was easy to watch my friends being killed? Nobody would have left that room alive if it wasn't for me. Yes, I bound everyone I could with my spell, because otherwise you would have died trying to fight back. I hoped I could get everyone out of there alive, but I only got you out. Then suddenly, Sophia's rage subsides. Her hand comes to rest on your shoulder. I know how you feel right now, but it's all Philippe's fault. He starved you in prison, and you're only human. Now Philippe is about to eliminate the rest of the Lotless. But we can't do anything to save them now. And as for you and me, Philippe has us on his leash now. We'll have to survive like this. We can't run from him. If I don't do what I'm told, he'll have me collared and sent back to the House of Humility to be an obedient, soulless puppet. But we have each other now. We can do this. Don't lose hope. Okay. I feel horrible. I feel truly, truly awful about everything that's happened. But at least Sophia was forced into this situation as well. So we still have. So hopefully we can figure a way out of this together. A jailer enters the room before you can say anything else. You're led out of the prison and into the yard. You wince at the light of the sun and the shining pillar. A carriage takes you back to the flop house where you took refuge after the March of the Collars. The driver kindly informs you that he has orders to take you back to Anazot in 3 days. You start packing. It all feels like a dream. Everything will happen exactly as Philippe said. You have nowhere to run. If you try to flee, they'll find you, and they will find your family first. In the blessed Archnean Empire, there is no way to start over with a clean slate. The twins and the secret chancellery see all. Your months in prison are the past. Oh no. Oh, distaste. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Your months in prison are the past, but can you truly call yourself free now? You'll be going home soon. This has not been successful. I feel dirty. I feel awful and dirty. And I am racked with a horrendous amount of guilt right now. You now serve the secret chancellery. Your life and fate are in the hands of advisor Philippe El Ferro. I really hope I get to kill him. Brutally. Diamant stands trial. Just before you leave the capital, you overhear something unusual on the streets. Junius Diamant, Patriarch of Stynia, and one of the leaders of the New Faith, will stand trial before a church tribunal. The Order of the Inquisition has accused Patriarch Junius of patronizing blasphemous witches and disseminating heresy. The Holy Tribunal claims that Junius Diamant was scheming to free all witches and sorcerers from the collars that fetter their accursed powers. And, what's worse, the Patriarch was also accused of forming the Lotless, a dangerous secret society based in the imperial capital. Members of this society have been assaulting inquisitors and priests of the church, as well as freeing the witches from the cleansing fire and helping them escape the Holy Law. Now, the Patriarch must face the Holy Tribunal with the Inquisition in Eterna. By all accounts, this is a devastating blow for the New Faith. at the end of days for Junius Diamant himself. The Inquisition will make the most of this opportunity to rid the land of this unwelcome patriarch who dared to shake the foundation of the old faith. But then comes the sudden news of Patriarch Junius's reply to the Holy Tribunal. It's no less stunning than the accusation. "These words are nothing but lies. I will say this to anyone who dares to bring this accusation against me in person. But I want those hypocrites to bear the full weight of their responsibility for this slander against me, my flock, the Diamant dynasty, and the Holy Order. I agree to stand trial before the Holy Tribunal, but I will face them on my own land, and on my terms." Patriarch Junius has already received strong support from Patriarch Luke and many priests across Archnia. Parishes of the new faith throughout the Empire are now speaking out in support of Junius Diamant. The Church of the Twin Gods is about to be rent in twain. The Inquisition has no choice but to revoke the trial in order to avert the coming schism. Their new official stance is that Patriarch Junius has been wrongfully accused, and the Holy Tribunal will now apply a more cautious judgment during any further trials against the followers of the new faith. Following the teachings of Patriarch Fotis is no longer seen as heresy by the Inquisition. The trial of Junius Diamant has been averted, but the divide within the Church is only deepening. The new faith has directly challenged the old faith. The result is uncertain, depending on who you ask. Some say Junius Diamant all but pled guilty, others believe the Patriarch and the alleged rebellion against the Church as well as the Inquisition is nothing but a ruse. There are also people who think the entire situation sounds like one of the secret Chancellery's dirty deeds. One way or another, the Patriarch of Astinia and co-leader of the new faith remains at his post. But for how long? And how will the old faith and the new faith clash next? Yeah, the Church is tearing itself apart. A farewell to the capital. The Reglata and Taurina rivers meet outside the city walls. You've barely left the capital since you came here all those years ago. A breeze is blowing in your face, and the bright noon sun hangs above the shining pillar. Your stay in Eterna has come to an end. You arrived here a boy, full of hopes and aspirations, driven by your family's expectations and a desire to live your life as you saw fit. But now I'm rich and I own a print shop. I may have sold all my friends out to die, but Daddy, I made it. Oh, I feel so bad. Where did your youthful ambition lead you in the end? Eterna never became your home. To you, it was a place of turmoil and disappointment. You tried to change the course of history, but history broke you in half and threw you away. You were too young and too inexperienced. Your entire life was wrecked by a single decision. What future could you possibly have now? All of your hopes are buried here in Eterna, and you must leave this city behind. Your hands clench into fists as you think about it. You will have to live two lives, a public life as the owner of a print shop, and a secret life as a spy for the secret Chancellery. This is the only path fate has in store for you now. Mother used to say that humility and hard work are the strength of the common folk. Each new blow brings less pain and teaches you to get back up more quickly. All you have to do is walk this path without showing weakness. But you strayed from the path of humility and graduated from the school of hard knocks. You learned to lie and manipulate others, to survive and hide and act in secret. As a teacher, Sophia had no equal. But what are you supposed to do now? Will you ever accept your role in the schemes of the secret Chancellery, since it means well for the Empire? Or will you have what it takes to find another way to use your position for schemes of your own? Many things must have changed back home by now. You recall Gloria particularly fondly, the way she used to rebel all the time and defy her lot to write poems. She always fought hard to be herself, no matter what other people or the law said. Gloria was the only one who supported your decision to find your own path. You want to tell her so badly, and tell her all the news, and share the joy of your return with her. You have to get her a gift from the capital, something that will matter to your sister while there's still time. You decide to buy her a book that she could never find in Anazot. You start combing through the market. You go to 5 bookstores, but you can find nothing suitable. One last shop, and then it's time to leave, you promise yourself. The store is marked by an unremarkable sign on an unremarkable building. You enter a dark room full of bookshelves. On one of these shelves you see a small book bound in black leather. The name of the author, Shah Malanadas, is stamped in gold. You peek inside. How strange. This is not a biography of the rebellious Duke and his rebellion. It's not even a study of his legacy. It's a book of his poems. You thumb through the pages and realise that Gloria would enjoy this book very much. The poetry of Shah Malanadas is about love and struggle and strength of will and the drive to keep fighting even when all hope is lost. The book costs almost nothing. It leaves the bookstore with you. You leave the capital the morning after. The carriage hired by the secret chancellery awaits at the door. Eterna, the city where you spent 4 years, slowly disappears on the horizon. Will you ever see the capital again? You don't know. The book, A Gift for Gloria, is in your hands. Homecoming. After 4 years in the capital, you return to your home city of Anazots. The end of youth. And what a fucking awful youth it's been. The years of your youth have come to an end. The time has come to leave the capital behind and return to your family and new business in your hometown of Anazot. The years away from home were full of tumult and hardship. Your adult shoulders now bear the burden of your first life-changing decisions. Did you have the freedom to choose this lot for yourself? Or was it your destiny all along? Ever since your childhood years, all you can do now is follow the path that lies before you. Well, this has been awful. This has been awful, awful, awful. Nothing went well for me here. Really, the things that have gone the way I wanted are things that have played out in the background. Like the church tearing itself apart is kind of what I wanted. But I've had nothing to do with that. Everything... I've had the reverse Midas touch. Everything I've touched has kind of turned to shit. Which is awful. I am honestly... and I'm not saying this to be dramatic, I feel awful. I feel truly awful about pretty much everything that's happened in this chapter. Well, that's the end of youth. And now I need to go take a shower and wash off this filth and take a good hard look at myself in the mirror. So, if you want to check this out for yourself, then the link to the game page is in the description. If you want to tell me that I am in fact a terrible person, or you want to tell me that it's maybe not my fault, please do that. Then leave me a comment. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then why don't you go ahead and hit the like button. The constant stream of poor decisions that is the subscribe button, make sure you that bad boy. And until next time, love you, bye. And I'm so sorry.